What does 6-7 mean? Nothing, really, except embarrassment for you when you drop that phrase in front of today's youth. And what does Quattro mean? Well, nothing, really, except embarrassment when you try to use it as an engineering term. But why is that? Why is the Quattro name nowadays just as embarrassing in automotive terms as 6-7 is for teenagers? This video will unpack why Quattro lost all of its luster and meaning, and I'll even provide an actionable solution to make Quattro great again. Or mkgar. Hi, I'm Bear. I hold a German motorsport license, people pay me to set up their cars every now and then, and the guy who taught me to drive has more Nürburgring laps than most people have warm meals. You're watching The Chassis Code. This is Why, a tongue-in-cheek format unpacking automotive-related queries. And this is a proper Quattro, a 600 horsepower, fire-breathing, Walter Röhrl-driven, all-wheel drive rally car. Before Quattro, many people thought all-wheel drive systems isn't really something suited to motorsport use, as you'd engineer all-wheel drive into cars via a locked center diff, which means that power was split in a static way front to rear. If the car's front wheels are permanently linked to a certain speed or diff load, it usually causes lots of understeer. Hence all-wheel drive cars were not considered sporty. That was until Audi came up with the Torsen setup by the mid-1980s. Torsen, which stands for torque sensing, would now use a centered diff coupling that can send power to the front and rear wheels depending on each axle's grip. With it, engineers can modify the behavior of the all-wheel drive system mid-corner, and thus the first sporty quote-unquote all-wheel drive setup was invented. Thank the Torsen differential for making all-wheel drives handle properly. All of this diff and clutch trickery got Audi its image as a technological innovator, along with other innovations in the 90s like the fully aluminium space-frame car. Hence their long-term corporate tagline, Vorsprung durch Technik, or advantage through technology. Fast forward 30 plus years, and Quattro badges are seen on everything from this A3 to this R18 LMP1 race car. So, Quattro being Quattro, they'd surely all have Torsen-centered diffs, right? Not exactly. The informed viewers will already know that an A3 is a Golf because it is a Golf underneath. The A3 shares its powertrain with most MQB platform cars, which includes the Golf, Passat, Kodiaq, that's the Skoda Kodiaq, not the Bear, and the A3 uses a Haldex front-wheel drive biased all-wheel drive system like a Golf. No Torsen-centered diff here, so from a car nerd's perspective, the A3 isn't really a Quattro then. And the LMP1 race car? Surely, this car will use a proper Torsen diff because racing means superiority, right? Again, no, but not because Audi engineers are lazy, but because of how energy ought to be deployed via the hybrid system given the racing regulations. The R18 has front electric motors that deploy depending on speed, recuperation level, and fuel consumption requirements, hence the name e-tron Quattro, but again, this is not something that made it into road cars. Because the R18's powertrain system had a magnetic flywheel originally engineered by Williams Advanced Engineering, yes, that Williams Advanced Engineering. So it wasn't exactly practical to be turned into a mass-market consumer product, and it certainly had nothing to do with the Torsen diff found in the original Quattro S1. And this is where the limitation starts to creep in. As we know, Audi is fully capable of developing innovative all-wheel drive systems with suppliers like in the R18 case, but very little of that technology gets trickled down into the entry-level road cars. Because the A3's all-wheel drive system is so different from what you'll find in an R18 or even an A6, the Quattro badge does not describe a technological innovation or a certain mechanical process anymore. It is simply a placeholder name that is abused by marketing departments to elicit certain emotional reactions, kinda like how the phrase 6-7 is now used. Utterly meaningless in technical terms. Quattro describes any four-wheel drive Audi. It does not mean a superior, permanent, Torsen-based all-wheel drive system that sends power front to rear intelligently and quickly for maximum on-gravel speed. Quattro nowadays just means four wheels are driven, even if 90% of the power is sent to the front 99% of the time, and even if a VW Golf uses the same system. It is really only the larger Audis where Quattro becomes meaningful again, like on RS cars, A6s, Q7s, etc. Here, Audi may use in-house developed systems that are actually tailored to the car from the ground up, not just something they found in VW's parts bin. Don't expect the same level of engineering prudence on everything with a Quattro badge. And how can Audi fix that? Like everything in life, the Quattro badge suffers from inflation. If Audi stopped slapping that badge on front buyers' crap boxes, perhaps in the future, Quattro will become meaningful again. And before Audi sends a cease and desist, it is time to end. Thank you very much for watching. Good night.